Okay, welcome to Rest Day. We are going to be talking about our metrics and the bod pod scale, which you see here. We're just going to be going over all the data and making a determination on where we want to go moving forward. Now, we're trying to decide, do we want to bulk? Do we want to cut? What exactly do we want to do? And just keep in mind that, we kind of set an arbitrary goal of getting to 10%. And I've been, talking to some other folks and stuff about this, some other bodybuilders, and kind of the consensus has been, well, you got down to 10.5%. Why do you want to get all the way down to 10% body fat? Like, why don't you go ahead and start your bulk now, bulk up, then cut back down to the 10% mark and, see the results that you get from the bulk that you're fixing to go into. Like you're just going to gain that weight back very quickly anyway, because you're going to enter right into the bulk, which makes a whole lot of sense to me. However, we did set this arbitrary goal, and I just like to meet my goals. I like to hit my goals. I kind of want to do it just because it's a goal I set and I want to get there, if that makes sense. So just something to think about. I don't really have a hard time with delayed gratification and things like that. But at the same time, it has almost been a year and a half now. I think it's a year and 5 months at this point. And so, it's getting to the point where the dieting phase is past due, time to go, in my humble opinion. Um, I'm ready to enter the bulk. I'm ready to gain muscle mass. I'm ready to cut back down and then see where I'm at and see those results of that muscle mass gain, right? So let's take a look at the numbers though, and just look at where we're at, and because that's how we really want to make our decisions, right? We don't want to make decisions arbitrarily. We want to make them with the data and the numbers that we have. And we are privileged enough that we do have the bod pod scale, which provides us a ton of data that is very close to being clinical data. I think it's within the 98% accuracy of clinical data. So it provides us with an excellent picture of where we're at. So all right, so when we take a look here, the first thing that we're going to see is January 1st, we were 204 pounds. And then we went up to 214.8. We cut down to 205.7. Then we went up to 212, and you can see our weight fluctuates, right? Then we started coming down hard, 206, and then 198. That was during the 3-day fast when we got down to that 198 part. And then we refed. We went back up to 214, then we went to 213, then to 210, and cut back down to 208. And I think this is about, where we are, fully hydrated, everything, right? And right now we're at that 208 mark. So just something interesting to look at. So that's the daily view. Now, when we go look at the weekly view, right, we can also see those same dips, right? We see the 202.7, the 211, and the 210.7, right? So you see those dips, and you see uh, going from 209 to 208.9. So we have seen a dip in weight, but when we look at our body fat percentage, we see that has actually increased. Uh, Even though it's decreased over time, it's kind of increased up. So we'll just move back here to the beginning, and then we can say, okay, we're at 11.2% on the first, then we're down at 10.5%, then 11.6%, down to 11.1%, back up to 11.9%. And you can see the trend is downward. Now, this during the 3-day fast, right? So 10.7%, 10.4% at the end of that fast. Then we have our refeed. We go back up to 11.3%, 11.4%, and then we are at 11.9% now. So you can see that our body fat has steadily increased, right? 11.3, 11.4, 10.7, 11.1, 11.8. So this is over the month, and that average over the month is the most important, from 11.2 to 11.9. which is what 0.7% body fat increase, right? So let's look at our lean mass, right? If our body fat is increasing, it means we have been outside of our calorie deficit a little bit. So does our muscle mass increase? And we can see that we have a steady increase in muscle mass, which is an indicative of a bit of a bulk, right? Like a mini bulk. We didn't mean to do this, but you can see that we did, right? And then you can see where we lost a little muscle mass, and that was during the 3-day fast. So just so you're aware, like if you're fasting, you do lose a little bit of muscle mass during that fast period. Now we look at a week over time, we can see that we were gaining muscle mass really well. And then, we went into the fast, we lost a little bit, and then we gained back the little bit that we lost. But we did gain muscle mass overall. When we look, we was at 173.8, and we went up to 174.8. So we have gained 1 pound of muscle mass during the process. Now, this is a really cool view because it provides us a look of the entire body, right? So we can see that, I'm holding weight, uh, or my muscle mass is pretty even across the board. And here, let's go back. I want to go back to that view real quick. All right, right here. So, as you can see right here, we're holding muscle mass across the board, right? 9.9 in our arms, 82 pounds of muscle mass in our midsection, and 30.4 to 30.6 in our right and left legs. Now you can see our left leg is a little bit ahead of our right leg, and a couple of weeks ago, our left arm was a little bit ahead of our right arm. And then that's when we started utilizing the lifting method where we would start single arms with our left, go to failure, then match those reps on our right. And you can see we've evened that out. And it did not take long to even that muscle mass out, but we did even that out. So we need to essentially kind of do the same thing with our legs. And we need to start with our right leg since it's a little bit behind our left leg, and work on that. And then also, we've been working on our core every lift, every day. We've been working on our core to bring up the trunk muscle mass or core muscle mass above standard, because everything else is above standard, and then our core mass is just in that standard range, which is one of the reasons you're not seeing well-defined abs, even though I am very close to the 10% muscle mass. You can only see the first 2 rows of abs. You can't see my lower abs at all. And that's just because they're simply not developed enough to push through the skin and to be able to be seen behind the little bit of fat that we do have. So let's look and see, well, what does that fat look like, right? So we'll go forward. We'll take a look here. We can see that my trunk fat is about 11.5%, right? My right arm is at 15.2%, and it isn't as defined as my left arm. We can see that when I'm doing my pose downs and so on and so forth. So that is pretty accurate. And the left arm is 13.5, a little bit lower fat ratio, and you can see more definition. And then the legs, you can see the most definition in my legs, especially my left leg where my veins are really, really starting to pop in both my legs. But I seem to lose fat in my legs first, then in my trunk, then around my arms. So that's just kind of how my body has worked as far as the muscle mass has gone. And that provides us a good estimation. But we can also go in here and we can look at a couple different reports. But the report that's most accurate is the DEXA scan. This is supposed to be within 98% accuracy of an actual DEXA scan. We're going to take it back to when we first started utilizing this. Now, keep in mind that this fair health rating is low because I don't track my sleep with my watch. I charge my watch at night instead of sleeping with it. And so my sleep is a little bit off. And plus, I don't get the best sleep. So that is what affects that score the most, bringing it to fair. If I could get my sleep under control, I think I'd be hitting everything bang, bang, bang. But most people have something they're not hitting. And for me, I'm not hitting my sleep where I should, and I know that, right? I'm hitting like 7, 8 hours a night, except for the weekends, and then I'm catching up on sleep on the weekends, hitting, 9, 10 hours on the weekends, which is not really the best way to go about it, and it definitely is probably stunting my progress to some degree. But with a family, kids, working a full-time job, everything I have going, it's what I have to do to be successful and to be able to uh, what my trade-off is. Everybody has trade-offs, right? And it's just simply what my trade-off is and what my trade-off looks like. So when we scroll down and we take a look here and we take a look at the total body analysis, the first thing we're going to see is our weight, right? And this is going to give us a trend over time. So when we first started utilizing this, our body weight, 94.5 pounds when we first stepped on the scale. Now we're at 94.7 pounds. We've been using this for about a month and 2 weeks now, right? So you can see that we've had our fluctuations up and down, up and down, up and down, but we have kind of maintained. So are we in a calorie deficit? Well, we've probably been for the last month or so in a calorie maintenance area. And that comes from, taking the vacation, eating more calories on that, having the days that I've missed. And I've talked about, oh, well, today I went over by 200. Today I went over by 100. Da 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 da. That adds up, right? And we can see that is adding up and it's affecting my progress. I thought, I would probably be around the 10% mark by now, and I'm not at that 10% body fat mark simply because I haven't adhered to my diet and my nutrition the way I should have. And we have to be honest about that, right? We have to say, okay, well, let's look and see what have we done that has halted our progress or made our progress slower. And it's exactly what it is. I have not been locked in to my nutrition and my diet the way I should have. And I know that, and I have to lock back in. I have to do better. I can't make an excuse. I can't say, well, this happened or that happened or da 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 da, right? I know what it is. I haven't done what I needed to do to lock in, and it's costed me some gains, period. That's just how it goes. Not, and I think it's important that everybody knows, like, not every month is going to be a successful, like, knock it out of the park month. It's okay to have a month that's not the most successful month, right? And it's okay to fall off the wagon every once in a while, but our consistency is going to remain. We're going to remain consistent going to the gym, and we're going to remain consistent to our diet, right? Even though our diet was not as consistent as we would like, and it did not provide the results that we would like, we can turn it around, right? We can make make it right by locking in, focusing, and just getting it right. So we can't expect to be perfect, and it's okay when we're not. So let's just take a look here. All right. So when we look at our body fat percentage, again, we see 11.4, then that goes up to 11.9, which is not a huge increase, only a 0.5% increase in body fat percentage, but still an increase, right? We see our fat mass, right? And we can see we were at 10.8% in our fat mass. Now we're at 11.3% pounds for our fat mass. And our lean mass was at 80.6 pounds, and now it's at 79.3 mass, whereas our fat-free mass was at 83.7 pounds, and now it's at 83.3 pounds. So we can see the DEXA scan is showing us just a small bit of lean mass loss, right? And we saw a little bit of that with our other results, but we also see that those are coming back, and When we look at it by a month to month ratio, we see that we did get an increase in lean mass, but we are cutting. So as we're cutting, we can expect a decrease in lean mass to some degree. And over the course of what, a month and a half since I've been using this, we're looking at less than a pound of lean mass loss. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not like where we want to be, but it's not terrible. And then we can also see a little bit of, we'll scroll up here a little bit. We're also going to see a little bit of bone density issues, right? So let me let me pop this up for you so we can get a good view here. All right, cool. Okay, cool. So, uh, anyway, so what I wanted to show here was, we can see a little bit of a bone density issue where we see our uh, bone mineral has dropped just a little bit, right? And we do not want to see that continuing. Now, we're in a good range. We're not in a range that we need to be worried about anything or anything like that. We're in a standard range, on the high end of a standard range, which is good. However, we want to get that improved as quickly as possible. And the best way for us to improve that is going to be through our nutrition, working out, and lifting weights, and that's going to improve that as we move forward. But we see that drop, and it's probably from the 3 day fast. The one thing I've noticed from 3 day fast is we've seen some of our markers uh, decrease that we didn't want to see decrease, and the markers that we did want to see decreased, but after we refed, all those markers kind of went back up after the 3 day fast. So is the 3 day fast worth it? I don't think I would do it again, especially after reading up on autophagy and things like that, and learning that just being in a calorie deficit also puts makes that occur. And it was also found throughout the research that the fast does not speed up autophagy whatsoever at all. That the calorie deficit will give you the same results at the same speed as that 3 day fast. So would I do another 3 day fast? No, I will not. I think that it was I think that it provided immediate benefits. Like if you wanted to do the 3 day fast because you were going to do a photo shoot or you were going to a wedding or something like that, and you wanted to absolutely look your best for that, you could do the 3 day fast. You could refeed, and then the next day go do your event, go to your wedding, whatever you were doing. That would make a whole lot of sense, right? But if we're doing it for long-term health, if we're doing it for long-term bodybuilding effects, the short-term effects that you get from it, the short-term positives, go away after about a week of going back to your regular diet, going back to your regular routine, and then your body kind of has to uh, redevelop itself or uh, bring itself back to baseline, right? And so, anyway, I would just say it's not for me. I wouldn't do it again. But there might be a situation where it makes sense for you. You have to make those determinations. But for me, I will not be doing it again. My visceral fat has stayed the same at 5, which is good. We want to keep that visceral fat as low as we can, and we can see the subcutaneous fat has went from 9.4 to 9.8. So, what does all the data tell us? Well, all the data tells us that we have not cut well for the past month, that our calorie deficit is not where it needs to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our calorie deficit, and we're going to cut for another 30 days, and we're going to try to get to that 10% mark because that's the goal we set for ourselves. However, we're not going to go past a year and a half into this diet. So we cut for another 30 days. That's going to put us at the 6 month mark. Uh, at a year and a half mark, right? So, we've made plenty of progress. We've gotten to a great point, and even if we're at 10.5, 10.2, something like that, then we're just going to go ahead and go straight into the bulk at the end of the month. At the end of this month, we're moving into the bulk, but we are going to lock in and we are going to bring our calories down and we're going to diet hard for the next 30 days. That's what I've decided to do so I can try to meet my goal, which is an arbitrary goal. And it's probably not the smartest thing to do to be like, oh, I got to meet this arbitrary goal. But I set the goal of getting to 10% body fat, and that's what I want to do. So I am going to keep pushing, keep focusing, and try to make that. But I also want to be realistic and you know, we can't just live in a cut forever. We can't be in a cutting phase forever. It's just not healthy for us to be in a cutting phase forever. So, the last month, we, we increased our calories. We did the reverse dieting, and basically, we put ourselves into maintenance and all of the yo-yoing that we did over that time where we, had a 3-day fast and we cut down real low and we were really good with our diet some days, not so good with our diet other days. After coming back from the vacation, I had to get back into dieting. I was having a lot of mental diet fatigue. It was hard for me to just jump right back into the diet, and I was overeating by a couple hundred calories here and there uh, every day for a few days, which I was in a 500 calorie deficit, so overeating by 200 calories didn't put me back. Uh, didn't put me into maintenance, but you pair overeating a couple hundred calories for 3 days plus overeating by however many I overate on the vacation for 3 days, which was probably way more than a couple hundred calories per day, right? You pair all that together, and then you pair, the days before that where maybe I had a mishap day where I ate, five. I know there was one day where I like ate 500 calories over. You put all this together, right, and you can see that even though for 75% of those 30 days I was doing what I was supposed to do, the other 25% of those 30 days where I did not do what I was supposed to do, where I was not hitting my caloric deficit goals, cost me my gains, cost me to gain body fat and not lose body fat. It put me in a in a caloric maintenance, and that's where I'm at, right? So I'm gonna drop my calories. I think I'm gonna drop them to 2,000 calories, 1,800, 2,000 calories, um, and then I'm going to just focus on hitting it every day for the next 30 days, making sure I hit it. And as far as cardio goes, we're going to try to make sure we're getting an hour of cardio at least every single day. So 30 minutes cardio in the morning, 30 minutes cardio after our evening workout to make sure that we're getting an hour of cardio. Now, do I want to make sure my cardio is done like at a 15 incline and a 3 speed at least once per day? I would like to be at a 15 incline, 3 speed on the treadmill. But the other 30 minutes, I really don't care. I can be at a 0 incline and a 3 speed or a 2.5, 2.7 speed. Either way, it really does not matter to me where I'm at as far as that goes. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the cardio in that I need to get in to be successful. So that's the plan. That's what we're looking to do. And that's how we're going to be attacking things as we move forward.